Hello everybody and welcome back for the weekly VR news where I break down everything going on in the VR industry, prepare you for this week's new releases and game updates, and then finally focus in on a few major stories. Once again, I have a long list of exciting new games and updates to go over, including a few stealth drops that came out of nowhere, but this is just the tip of the iceberg compared to what's actually going on in the VR gaming industry right now. There are some huge changes coming in the near future, and today we'll get a little sneak peek of that. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet. I know many of you are still using this old-fashioned, clunky, gigantic wallet that you should get rid of right now and upgrade to something more fashionable that just fits in your pocket much better. Now, if you're not in the market for a wallet yourself, you can find the best Father's Day gift using my link, ridge.com/Mateo311, and save up to 40% through June 15th. Now, I know this makes a great gift because I am in fact a dad, and I just upgraded to one of these wallets. There's a huge array of different styles, so I'm sure you'll find something for everybody. Again, that link to check out is ridge.com/Mateo311, and thanks again to Ridge for sponsoring today's video. So let's start things off with my review check-in. I'm currently playing through another Fisherman's Tale, and I've already abandoned playing through Transformers Beyond Reality on the PlayStation VR 2. Let's get the latter out of the way, as Transformers is an extremely mediocre on-rail shooter. It's supposedly enhanced for the PSVR 2, but it still looks pretty terrible, and I can only imagine how this game looks on the original hardware. The gameplay is just bland, featuring the worst usage of adaptive triggers I've ever seen. This title honestly feels like a 1990s arcade shooter, where lots of things are going on in the background, the world just keeps moving, but all you're doing is shooting random generic enemies in the foreground. I'd recommend you avoid the title, but another Fisherman's Tale on the other hand has been a complete delight, featuring both clever mechanics and puzzles, a cute storyline set in a vibrant world, and just a nice chill experience. Now, I'm still pretty far from completing this title, but it looks like any puzzle fans or those looking for a relaxing adventure title should enjoy this game. But let's move on to some new releases. First up, the fast-paced grappling hook shooter Swarm surprise dropped on Steam last week. Now, I'm actually a huge fan of this title, and previously worked with Green Sky Games to help promote this game, because there's just nothing else like it, and it just highlights what makes VR great. Amazingly, there's not a drop of motion sickness in a game that focuses on swinging around at high speeds. The shooter mechanics are also top-notch, and this is a very challenging game. So now that it's finally available on Steam, I highly recommend you go check it out. But a brand new game that I'm looking to check out is Humanity. Become the ultimate shepherd dog as you lead countless members of mankind to safety. Humanity is a puzzle title that reminds me a lot of the classic title Lemmings. If you don't intervene, mankind is destined to unalive themselves by blindly walking off a cliff. Now, this title is also releasing with a full level editor, so I expect there'll be a lot of replayability. Now, if you're looking for a story-driven puzzle title, Red Matter 2 is making its way onto the PlayStation VR 2 this week. I've already jumped back in to re-experience this absolutely fantastic title, and while it already looked great even on the Quest 2, this new PlayStation VR 2 version looks even better than what's available on PC. So if you have any interest in stunning graphics, excellent storytelling, and some challenging puzzles, then Red Matter 2 is right up your alley. Now, if you're looking for some more information on this game, I will have a PlayStation VR 2 review up later in the week. So don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on. And that right there was our short but sweet list of titles releasing this week, but there's still plenty of more game updates to go over. First up, in last week's news, I forgot to cover the ranged update for Swordsman VR. Swordsman VR is an excellent melee fighter title that has just grown so much over the years. Now you're no longer limited to just hand-to-hand combat, as they have introduced some ranged weapons. There's also a new ranged weapon only arena mode, plus the shooting range that lets you test your skills. So if you needed one more reason to get this game or to jump back in, well, here it is. Now, last week I also mentioned that a stealth title would be dropping, but I wasn't able to name it just yet, and if you didn't know by now, that title is Budget Cuts Ultimate Edition. Coming to both the Quest 2 and PlayStation VR 2, the Ultimate Edition includes both Budget Cuts 1 and Budget Cuts 2. Budget Cuts is an absolutely fantastic stealth-based title set in a quirky robot-infested world. Now, you might be looking at the trailer wondering what makes this game so special, but trust me, the gameplay here is just top-notch. Budget Cuts 1 and 2 are some fantastic classic VR titles, and I'm really glad to see that they're getting ported. Now, speaking of games getting ported, the original Fisherman's Tale will also be coming to the PlayStation VR 2 later this year. Now, it might feel a little strange playing these games in reverse order, as another Fisherman's Tale just recently released, but it's definitely worth it to return to the original game, as it offers up some fantastically unique puzzle mechanics. Well, let's move on to something that's actually new, with the teaser trailer for Dungeon Full Dive. Now, for the longest time, people have been calling Demio Dungeons & Dragons in VR, and as much as I love Demio, it is not Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeon Full Dive, on the other hand, is trying to become that tabletop experience. Now, making the experience even more unique and immersive, you're not only capable of floating over the table in traditional tabletop fashion, but you could also dive down and physically embody your character. Now, if they could actually pull off this project and create a powerful Dungeon Master toolkit, I think we've found my next game of the year. I'm a massive tabletop fan, but actually being able to jump into one of those worlds would be a dream come true. Now, I can't say I'm as excited for our next game announcement, and that's Everslaught Invasion. This title was originally set to release last month, but was delayed at the last minute. The new release date for this co-op horde fighter is set for May 25th. I already put some coverage together for this title, which will be available for when the game releases. Now, if you're a fan of other titles like the Horde mode in Arizona Sunshine or After the Fall, Everslaught Invasion is a new take on that experience, which you'll most likely enjoy. Now, another delayed title was the fast-paced roguelike shooter Dead Hook. It was originally set to release this month, but has been pushed back to June 29th. They've also released plenty of new gameplay footage, and I have to say this title is looking excellent. It almost looks like a combination of Doom meets Swarm, and the latest video talks about how the mechanics were inspired by a lot of classic arena shooters. So this title is right up my alley, and I can't wait to start mowing down some demonic creatures. Now, rounding out today's game updates, we have new content for both Drop Dead the Cabin and Broken Edge. Drop Dead is introducing the mines, a whole new gameplay location. There's also 2 new weapons, including the rifle and Uzi, and finally the Nightmare difficulty mode for those of you looking to truly test their skills. And speaking of testing your skills, the new Broken Edge update introduces the Pirate. The Pirate is the newest playable class, and he comes packing 5 separate weapons. Now, the game's also received some balancing improvements, plus a new multi-blade feature that allows you to unlock new weapons with each of the game's fighters. So if you're looking for a duel, now's a great time to check out Broken Edge. And that right there concludes this week's game updates, which was a really solid lineup, but nothing compared to what's coming in the near future. Now, I'm currently under 5 separate NDAs, and all I can say is some truly exciting stuff is on the way. Before we even get into the Metagaming Showcase on June 1st, that month is already looking stacked with exciting new games. And when we do get into the showcase, even more exciting stuff is on the way. Meta has pretty much confirmed that we're getting Asgard's Wrath 2, and this will finally be the return of large production games from Oculus Studios. Now, if you're not familiar with Asgard's Wrath, it was an absolutely fantastic 40+ hour RPG with some truly stunning visuals. The fact that the sequel is coming to standalone is a whole new day for VR gaming. My only concern is how high can they keep the actual quality on a standalone device, and that's where the introduction of the Quest 3 should come in handy. The 2x power boost that this hardware supposedly has means we could finally get some of those higher quality PCVR games onto standalone. This headset will also be Meta's mainstream introduction of AR technology. Now, it's still unclear if this will be a game changer or a gimmick, but a whole new experience is coming soon, and this will actually place Meta up against Apple, which will surely shake up the VR industry. Now, supposedly at Apple's upcoming WWDC on June 5th, we're finally going to get the announcement of the Apple VR. Leaks and rumors regarding this headset have been swirling for years, and as it stands right now, we can expect some truly cutting-edge technology that offers up an extreme wow factor. While the rumors have never wavered in stating that this is a high-end device with an extremely high price tag to match, they've even recently gone on to say that the headset can run Final Cut Pro. So it looks like you'll have something like a Mac Pro strapped to your face with an extremely sleek form factor. Now, what was killing the hype a little bit was that many Apple employees didn't believe the headset was ready, and they were scrambling to create content for it. Supposedly, that has now changed, and everyone's being blown away by what this device can do. Now, I can't say for sure what the future holds, but no matter what, the second Apple enters the VR market, things are going to change forever. Now, as awesome as it may be to see 2 titans competing in this market, some of the little guys are still doing some truly impressive stuff. The commercial release of the Bigscreen Beyond headset is rapidly approaching, and while this is an enthusiast device that won't capture the mainstream, it's just absolutely amazing to see how far this technology has come, and they've definitely resolved the whole comfort issue before anyone else. So kudos to Bigscreen, as they've produced an amazing piece of hardware that seemingly came out of nowhere. And the other player in the mix is Pimax, who've started shipping their standalone device, the Pimax Crystal. Now, it's also a PCVR headset, and like normal, it's designed for the tinkerer or ultra enthusiast. Now, I'm currently working on my coverage of the Pimax Crystal, so make sure to check back in a couple weeks for that coverage. So just to recap, June is going to be a huge month for VR, introducing new hardware, plenty of huge games, plus a few surprises. So go ahead and let me know down in the comments right now what you're most excited for.
And that was today's video, brought to you by my dad, Mateo311. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here,
Consider subscribing.
consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
Consider subscribing.
We'll see you guys on next time.
We'll see you guys on next time.